But the illegal crosses are already inside of Nigeria. What must be done now, considering that they are already inside Nigeria and they are perpetrating this level of violence and killing people? What should we do as a people, as a government that has a sovereign force? What can we do to be able to send a strong message that this impunity, this wanton killings must stop? Because we have been on this for the past 6 weeks plus, and it seems when the government has even moved in, when the IGP has moved into Benue, when the security apparatus is set in Benue, these killings still move on to other places, in Ondo for instance.
Oh, well, it's very, very, very dicey. And I say dicey because the free flow of movements of these so-called pastoralists and herdsmen, they move through the deep forest and they are hardly noticed. But I want us to really separate the issues of legitimate pastoralists who are non-violent. We need to sort them from the violent ones, because
how do you do that now?
It's difficult now because they are all mixed up, and what you need to do now is to try to, first of all, contain them within the area in which they have been found to be perpetrating. As you can see also that the army has commenced another military operations in Benue, Nasarawa,
the cat race.
The cat race. So it will, let's watch and see how much, because one, you have to contain these people, arrest the criminal elements among them, disarm them, then of course bring those who have been found culpable, bring them forward for trial. And because this domain of impunity must not be left to continue. And of course, I think measures are being taken gradually to ensure that there is justice. And of course, for those who have been affected, that there is some kind of compensation or amelioration for their losses.
Do you think that, as you said, that they should be tried and prosecuted? Do you think that the trial should be done behind closed doors or in the open?
Oh, well, that will be left to, it should be as transparent as possible, provided that it doesn't also endanger the witnesses and all the others. Open trials should be done in this type of circumstance, at least to create that desired deterrence, and of course make people to identify the perpetrators. And of course, following that, you will find it much, much easier to now provide all the necessary panacea.
Because there's been several questions about those Boko Haram terrorists who are being tried behind closed doors. Many people wonder, whose interests are they trying to protect or cover? Why try them behind closed doors? Should that even be the case?
Well, I would not know the reasons why those decisions were taken, but what I can say is that for every decision that has been taken, it must have been prompted by, either by request by the prosecution agency.
Even though some still think it's not tenable to them, but I don't know how, we don't have to convince those people who are of that school of thought. But let's even try and understand the thinking of our security agencies if we can, because you were in the Navy, and when this kind of thing happened, do they have general meetings? Do they call, when you have security meetings, what kind of collaborations go on? Because people can't understand, looking at those pictures, how a local government was overrun by, as was reported there, by herdsmen. Because it gives impression, when people see this, they just think, our security has failed us. That's what they would think. How do you convince them otherwise?
You know, it's a very complex thing to look at, because
which one, the interagency cooperation?
The level of, not there is always inter-agency cooperation. There are always security meetings. There are stakeholders, fora in various states, Security Stakeholders Forum, they hold meetings monthly, frequently, sometimes bi-monthly. And I was a chairman of the Bayelsa Security Stakeholders Forum for a while. So I have an idea of what we discuss. It's just looking for better ways of keeping the state safe and ensuring freedom of movements of people, and ensuring that you alleviate the fears and allow them to pursue their legitimate livelihood.
Would you agree with those who say, from the results we've seen lately, clearly something needs to be done about rejigging our security architecture?
Of course, only on Monday, the National Security Advisor unveiled a new policy master plan for curbing all this violent extremism. Now, I think that was in Abuja. And then those ones came with some cluster points, which meant that, as it is, their mechanisms are being placed to further address the situation. But bringing the military in to address this it will take time to manage this sort of conflict, because it's low intensity now going into showing traits of terrorism, you know, and the kind of force that will be applied will be very critical. Otherwise,
why? To somebody who has an AK-47?
What you will realize is that in this kind of environment, you find a complex of actors who even help to complicate the dynamics.
How do you mean?
Already exposed. You have all the global bodies, human rights bodies, watching. You have NGOs who also have some purpose they want to achieve within the environment. And of course, when you begin to exchange fire, because I don't think what is going on is really something that requires too much of military force. Because
I'm trying to understand the point you're making about those NGOs who will complicate matters. Is it that they will prevent the military from facing these people who have AK-47?
About people, when the military tries to address such a situation. The military is not designed to play ball. When they are sent to really deal with or quell insurgencies like this, they have usually have robust rules of engagement. And of course, if you don't, a man with a gun and who has the will to shoot at you, who will shoot at you, and if you don't have any response, credible response, then you will be overwhelmed by the enemy fire.
What lies in the new army plan, or should I say the military plan that you talked about, that was unveiled just a moment ago? What lies in it that distinguishes it from existing ones that are built to, you know, have a roadmap and a clear plan to protect this country?
Well, it's like now this plan now describes the early warning system. You know, early warning signs will be embedded under the early warning systems. So when you begin to see signs of tension, rising tension, leading to a situation of grey peace. You know, peace usually is represented by white. When the white begins to turn grey, you should know as a manager of conflict that there's need to either separate or negotiate or dialogue with these people before they begin to make contact. And then this proliferation of arms, illicit arms, is helping to make conflicts more violent.